up? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Betting 101 with Minty Bets and Teddy Covers. Last week, we went over 20-ish basic betting terms from A through H. This week, we're going to continue that with our second set of betting vocabulary, J through P. We've got about 60 terms in total, and we'll...
So it's not going to kill you if you don't understand these terms or if you don't use them correctly. What it is going to do is make you feel like you're not one of the group. Being able to use the sports betting terms in the appropriate times is much more about the socialization of sports betting than it is any other factor. If you want to have an industry, you're coming up to talk to me in a sports book, all right, and you say something wrong in your terminology, I immediately know, okay, this guy's an amateur, whatever. When your terminology is right, people take you seriously. When your terminology is wrong, they don't. So the whole point of this is being able to use these terms effectively and sound like you know what you're talking about. And more than sound like you know what you're talking about, actually know what you're talking about. It really helps. And look, we're all in the same boat. Minty, you didn't know most of these words when you started betting on sports.
Whoa! Oh yeah, when I started, yeah.
Yeah, when I know when I moved out when I moved out to Vegas, I'd been betting on sports for a decade or close to it, and I didn't know many of these terms. So this is most assuredly something you can be very comfortable saying. It's okay not to know. That's what we're here to do. We're here to help you.
Yes, we're here to help. So last week we didn't go over one term that is pretty important to know. We'll actually start with EV. Teddy, tell us what EV means and what the difference of that is between EV and even money, which we did go over last week.
Sure. EV versus EV, because the abbreviations are the same. Even money is abbreviated as EV, and expected value is also abbreviated as EV. And we didn't use this last week in the 101. I honestly don't feel this is a 101 topic. Expected value is like sports betting 102. But we did get a question on Twitter saying, I think you guys left it out. So let me at least give you an example of a positive EV bet and a negative EV bet. All right. And these are the theory of expected value is just that. It's theory. And any given bet, it's hard to project exactly what your expected value is going to be. But let's talk about flipping a coin. All right. You and I are going to flip a coin 10 times. I'm going to give you 11 to 10. All right. Every time you win, every time it lands heads, you get 11. Every time it lands tails, I get 10. For you, the expected value every time you flip the coin is a nickel. For me, it's minus a nickel. Because you're laying 11 or you're getting 11 to 10 and I'm laying 11 to 10. I hope that makes sense. But a coin flip is a great example of just saying, if you're laying 11 to 10 on a coin flip, it's a negative EV bet every time. If you're getting 11 to 10 on a coin flip, it's a positive EV bet over every time. And as a bettor, you're always looking for positive EV bets. So to use this one in a sentence, it's not an easy sentence to say.
No.
But you say, I thought I had a great positive EV bet, but it lost anyway. That's...
Yes, here's another sentence. Marco hates Keno, and I like playing Keno. But every time I talk about Keno, he's always like, that is just like a negative, easy way to gamble. Like, he just absolutely hates Keno. And I like it. I always win, so it's good for me.
You always win? Stop. You sometimes win.
When I do sometimes win, it makes up for all the times that I've lost. So I'd like to consider that always winning.
Know that no matter how you play Keno, it is always going to be a negative EV bet.
I know. Don't remind me. I miss Keno so much. Anyway, next word is juice. Teddy Covers, juice.
Yeah, and so when we talk about what juice is the price that you're paying to the bookmaker that allows you to bet. We talked about 11 to 10. All right. The 11 is the juice. That extra, it says you're not laying 10 to win 10. You're laying 11 to win 10. 11. So that's why when you talk about the long-term percentages, you need to break even betting on sports. It's not 50-50. It's 52.38% that you have to win just to break even betting minus 110. That's the juice that you're giving to the bookie every time you lose a bet. And again, you don't pay juice on winning bets. You can make an argument. You pay juice on winning bets because you're only getting 10 back and you bet 11. But the reality is the books keep that extra money, the extra juice from. God, I lost my train, Minty. This is brutal.
It's okay. It's like a tax for them, like a price, a fee that we pay them to take our bets.
That's why bookies make money, is because of the juice. Okay, that's why sports books make money, is because of the juice. If it's a 50-50 proposition, there's no inherent advantage to the bookmaker. With juice, there's always an inherent advantage to the bookmaker.
Absolutely. All right.
So, let's see. So we got to use it in a sentence. So I made 10 bets yesterday, 5 won, 5 lost. I ended up just losing the juice.
Good one. Beautiful. Okay, next word, number 3, key numbers. And this is very important in football.
Football and basketball. All right. And there are
basketball.
specific key numbers. Key numbers are, and baseball too, actually, for baseball totals. But key numbers are point spreads that are more, the game is more likely to land on that number than any other or than others. So when you talk about football, well, when points are scored in 3s and 7s, field goals and touchdowns, 3s and 7s become very key numbers in football. Those are the 2 most important numbers to capture when you talk about getting the best of the number, getting key numbers in your pocket. If the line's at +3.5, it's going to go down to +3. You want to grab the +3.5 so you have that key number in your favor. So football, the biggest key numbers are 3 and 7. In basketball, the key numbers are 1, 2, 3, and 7. 1, 2, and 3 because games get decided by when someone hits a shot, and 7 because that tends to be the spot where teams that are down stop fouling. So 1, 2, 3, and 7 tend to be the key numbers in basketball. In baseball, the key numbers come from totals, and the key numbers for baseball totals 7 and 9. The odd numbers. Games are more likely to land on the odd numbers than the even numbers. All the 4-3s, 5-2, 6-1s land on 7. But the 5-3s and 6-2s land on 8. The 7s hit more often, the 9s hit more often. So baseball totals 7 and 9 become key numbers that you're trying to capture, that you want to be working in your favor to give you a positive EV bet.
Interesting. All right, let's use key numbers in a sentence. Teddy.
Oh, you said you had all these sentences ready.
I have some. Okay, I skipped a few. I'll do the next one.
I made my bet early in the week because I wanted to capture the key number of -3.
Ooh, good one. All right, next, lay the points.
Lay the points just means you're playing the favorite. And you're playing the favorite via the point spread as opposed to on the money line. When you're laying the points, you say, all right, the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl by more than a field goal. And you lay the point, and lo and behold, the Chiefs win the Super Bowl by more than a field goal, and you cash your ticket. So laying the points just means you're playing a favorite on the point spread.
That was a very good example because that was part of my sentence. I love the Chiefs to win and cover against the Niners, so I'm going to lay the points with the Chiefs. Awesome. So next word, limit. Teddy covers.
All right. If you're watching this particular video, you probably don't need to worry about limits very much yet. But you may, and you may, oftentimes, you may have to worry about it earlier than you think if books start to cut your limits because you're winning. But the limit is the maximum wager that any sports book will allow you to make for any given sport. The limits will vary dramatically from sports book to sports book. Some books welcome big action. Other books don't want anything larger than $500 or $1,000. There's definitely
the limit for Go ahead. Oh no.
But when you're talking about limit bets and limit bettors, limit bets generally move point spreads, often move point spreads, and they're also pretty much the exclusive domain of professional bettors and wise guys. The average Joe is not going to make a lot of limit bets over the course of their betting career, unless they're playing at a casino with very low limits, which does happen, or unless they do extremely well, and then the books start to cut their limits, which is a very frustrating factor for many professional bettors, where the books are cutting your limits, and you got to find ways around that. So The limit at the book was $1,000 for NFL sides, $500 for NFL totals, and $100 for college hoops totals. I can't believe the limits were so low.
How low? Love it. Thank you. Next word here is line. So important, this word, line.
So and that's, it's one of those terms that you're like, okay, what is a line? Because it's not a term that is easily defined. Like, okay, this is a point spread or this is a money line. A line is essentially and this is one, it's the easiest term. And I went through all of them before, and I'm like, I got an answer for this. I got an answer for that. A line is the differential between the two teams and the home field that bettors are being asked to predict.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I mean, that's a crappy definition of a line.
It's a very, the definition is the one you gave is kind of hard to understand, and I'm trying to think of a way to easily define line so that like a high schooler could understand what line means. The
line is the separation between the two teams, and that's what you're betting on. You're betting on the line. If the line is -7, that's team A -7, or team A's got to beat team B by -7. The line is -155. That means team A has to win the game, and they're about a 3-2 favorite to do it. So the line is just the mathematical difference between the two teams in theory that bettors are asking to, whether bettors need to get involved, that bettors can get involved with. Gosh, that's not perfect. I'm mad about that one, Minty, because, again, I go through all of these, but it's not like I didn't look at them. But it's like when it came to line, I'm like, oh, that's easy. And then I'm thinking about how to define what a line is. And it's not as easy as I thought. Maybe you can show us
in your backdrop which one the line is.
They're all lines. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so anyway, can I get back here? I can't see myself. Hang on, I'm taking my ear out.
Yeah, well, we can't see. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'll stay back in. But the bottom line is the 76ers -4 against the Knicks. That's the line. The total would be 210. That'd be the total points. The 76ers are -170 on the money line. That too is a line on this game. The line on this game is what you're going to bet. Anything you're going to bet on that given ball game.
Beautiful, Teddy. Thank you so much for your effort.
Hang on. Next. We got to even put in a sentence. The line was -7, but I shopped around and found a 6.5.
Line shop. Yes. Beautiful. All right. Next word is live betting.
Live betting is any bet that you make after the game has already started. Now, we're usually not talking. Live betting doesn't count as halftime betting is different. But live bets, and as we're seeing the betting marketplace evolve from where it was when I moved to Vegas to where it is now, literally now the live betting markets, you can bet every pitch, you can bet every possession, you can bet every play. In basketball, football, baseball, tennis, they're betting ping pong now. Live betting ping pong like crazy. So live betting is any wager you're going to make after the game has already started. You're going to get graded on the final score, but the line itself that you get does change dramatically throughout the course of the game when you're talking about in-game betting. Now, there are all kinds of nuances to in-game betting. And is your connection fast enough? Are you getting in at the numbers that you're seeing versus being in a position where you're waiting for the bet to be approved, which gets frustrating at times.
Very.
But
you have to be very quick with it.
Yeah, exactly. But the concept of live betting is you're betting into a point spread based on what's already happened in the game. You're still going to be graded on the final score.
Right. And in a sentence, I didn't see anything I liked to bet before the game, but now I'm live betting it because I see a great opportunity to make money now that it's started.
Yeah, and sure. And you can make a live betting and in-game betting means the exact same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah, there's no live versus in-game. It's the same. It's two words that mean the same thing for this particular instance.
Yes, I always use them interchangeable. Next word is lock. We hear this word all the time. I don't like to use the word lock.
There are no locks. I mean,
No.
and it's a lock. A lock is a bet that can't lose, and every bet can lose. Your team can be up.
Absolutely.
What's that bowl game? The Bahamas Bowl. They were up 48-3 or 48-7, and they end up losing 49-48. I mean, there are no locks. That's the single most important thing that I can say when talking about a lock, because look, a lot of touts use the word, okay, in trying to instill confidence in potential buyers. Oh, it's a lock. I got my lock of the year. Nothing is a lock. It's not even a lock with 2 minutes left. That said, you want to look for good bets. You want to look for positive EV bets, but a lock, they don't exist.
They don't exist.
I thought the 49ers were a lock when they led the Chiefs by 3 scores in the Super Bowl, but it turns out Kansas City rallied to win the game.
Heck yeah. Love it. Okay. No, don't use the term lock. Next term is long shot. Whoa, excuse me, long shot.
It's a long shot. You're going to say that sentence correctly. A long shot is simply a very large underdog. And it can vary by the sport. It can vary by the situation. But in horse racing, you're talking about long shot. Oh, I hit a 20-1 long shot. I hit a 40-1 long shot. When you talk about Super Bowl odds, they were 50-1 prior to the season and they cashed in. I hit my long shot. It just means a large underdog that is not likely to do whatever it is that they're, and even if we're talking about covering, I was +7 and they were down 3 scores. I was a real long shot, but they came in through the back door, worked out great.
Absolutely. Love it. Yes. And then I'd like to use my example of betting the Nationals to win the World Series last year was a long shot, but paid off. So that's a good one too. Next word we have is middle. What does it mean to middle your bet, Teddy?
So you're middling a bet is your single best positive expectation, positive EV wager you can have because you can't lose. What it means is you have multiple numbers working in your favor in a point spread situation. You can't really middle when it comes to money line situations. You can lock in a profit before the game starts. With if you're taking the dog and then at +170 and the money comes on the dog all day and the favorite ends up closing -160, you got a +170. You can take it back and -160, and you've locked in a profit before the game started. That's not a middle. A middle is I bet team A at -3. The line moved to -6. I bet team B at +6, and the game lands 4 or 5. So you cash your bet on the favorite. You cash your bet on the underdog. It's a bad day for bookmakers when the middles hit. And middles can and do hit. The best bettors will cash them on a regular basis. But in order to cash a middle, your very first bet on any given game has to be the way that the line's going to move. If you bet -3 and the line goes to -1, that's called that's not the kind of middle you want. That's a negative.
No.
But a middle is when you're betting both sides and you can't lose them both, but there is a chance that you can cash them both. That's your middle. And when it lands in the middle, it means the game landed in between the opening and the closing point spread. In the NFL last Sunday, there were 2 middles on sides and another one on totals. It was not a good day for the bookmakers.
But a good day for you. Thank you, Teddy. Next word we have here, word number 11, money line.
Money line bet is simply a bet that whether a team is going to win or lose the game with no point spread involved. So money line bet is this team's going to win, or there's no or to it. You're betting on which team's going to win. I was going to say you bet on or this team's going to lose, but it doesn't matter when there's only 2 teams. If you're betting on one team to win, betting on the other team to lose. What money line bets, what makes them a little bit confusing is that when you're laying with the favorite, when you're laying the points, but you're on the money line, you're going to lay more than $1 to win $1. Yeah. All right. You can lay -150, a 3-2, or you can lay 2-1, -$2 to win $1. So when you get back, if you win that bet on the money line with your $2 favorite, you get your $2 back plus the $1 you won, you get $3 back. That's your money line bet. You're just making a team.
Absolutely.
And of course, when you're playing on the underdog on the money line, you're going to get back more than you
More than you
if
paid.
you get a plus
Yeah.
200 dog, that's only supposed to win the game 1 out of every 3 times, and they win the game, you'll win the dollar you bet plus the $2 for the plus 200 on the dog. So you win one, you bet one, and you win back, a total of 3, or your return is a total of 3. That's your money line bet. You're just betting on whether the team is win or lose outright. No point spread involved. And it's important to note you can bet money lines in sports where there are point spreads. There's money lines in football. There's money lines in basketball. That you have a choice between betting on the point spread or betting on the money line, or splitting your wager between them when you're talking about those type of games. In baseball or hockey, it's mostly money lines, but you can also have a point spread when you talk about the run line or the puck line at minus 1.5. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. All right. In a sentence, I'll do it. With the A's being a dog against the Astros today, I find value in taking the A's money line. Right?
A's on the money line.
There we go.
Love it.
All right. 8, yeah. Next word up is nickel. How much is a nickel?
So we talked about the two terminologies. We talked about dime last time. Dime stands for $1,000 bet, or to win 1,000. Really, it's 11 to win 10. A nickel's a $500 bet, or to win 500. So you're betting 550, generally 11 to 10 to win 500. And again, nickel bettors, dime bettors, they're not the biggest bettors, but they're not $20 bettors either. So there's the nickel and dime bettors tend to be a lot of the bread and butter for what sportsbooks deal with. So nickel, $500.
Nickel's $500. I'm only betting a nickel on college football games. Perfect. There's my sentence. Next up, we have the word oddsmaker. And I think last week you touched on the word bookmaker. So explain the difference again for this video.
Sure. Well, a bookmaker is not an odds maker. Bookmaker is someone who takes bets. Okay. Every casino, every sports book has bookmakers. They're taking bets. Odds maker is a guy who actually makes numbers. And
that's lying.
In any given sports book, on any given week, they're going to have a heads odds maker. They're going to have other guys who contribute for various sports helping to make the odds. But an odds maker or a line maker is someone who actually sets the opening number on the game. Most sports books will have one main guy, and then they have a bunch of guys that they're going to call in for various, here's my main guy, but I get the NFL input from X, Y, and Z. I get college football input from X, Y, and Z. So oftentimes there are multiple people in the process, but the head odds maker, the head lines maker, he's the guy whose butt's on the line if the sports book is taking opinions and getting beat on those opinions.
Got it. And what's a good sentence you can use odds maker in?
Odds maker. So I was talking to the odds maker over at the Westgate, and he thought that the 49ers should never have even been in a +3 range against Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
Got it. All righty. Next word up, number 14, off the board.
Off the board is a game that you can't bet on anymore. It's a game.
And why would that be?
I'll get there. But it's a game you can't bet on anymore. Usually a game comes off the board because of an injury, question mark. Is Tom Brady going to play on Sunday? Well, there's a pretty big difference in the point spread, whether Tom Brady plays or whether he doesn't. We better take this game off the board until we know Brady's status. So when a game comes off the board, it's a game that's scheduled, a game that may well take betting action somewhere down the line, but for whatever reason, currently, they're not taking action on that game. They've taken that game off the board. Usually it's injury situations. Sometimes games come off the board. There's a hurricane. The first week of football season, there was a hurricane, and so the game in Florida get canceled or whatever. Those games are coming off the board, et cetera, et cetera. So it's any game that they're not taking bets on anymore, and you can't currently bet on at the given time, even though there's a chance it still could be played.
Okay, perfect. And use it in a sentence.
Yeah. So I was trying to bet on the Big East tournament the day that all sports got canceled, but unfortunately, before I got down to my wager on Seton Hall, all the games were pulled off the board.
What a sad day. All right. Next word, opening line.
So we talked about closing line last week. An opening line, and when you talk about the broader betting market, the closing line tends to be, the books will be fairly tight on the closing line. You might see -6 versus -6.5. You almost never see, the line closed -5 here and -7 there. That doesn't happen very often. It really doesn't. Opening lines, however, where the books open, the very first number they're going to post. And you will often see dramatic differences between where the odds maker at one book opens up the number versus where somebody at another book opens up their numbers. You see that in college football every week during the college football season, where, Circa's going to open their numbers, and then you're going to see numbers coming in from BOL offshore, and this coming in and that coming in. And one book has it -10, another book has it -3, another book has it -7. You do see dramatic disparities in opening numbers. So savvy bettors will bet the openers. The wise guys are betting the openers wherever they can find them because there's more line variance at that time than any other time over the course of the week. So the opening number is simply what the point spread or money line or total is when the books first post their numbers. Remember, any one individual book is not necessarily the broader marketplace.
Okay.
Which means that opening numbers will vary. One book may be way off, and they're off week after week at the openers. That happens.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. In a sentence, the line closed Ravens -7 versus the line versus the opening line last week at Ravens -6.5. Different.
Perfect.
Opening, closing. Perfect. All right. Next word, over, under.
Over, under. Okay. Let's start with this. If you want to be a sports bettor that sounds like you know what you're talking about, please don't use the word over, under. The word is total. Okay. Over, under is total. And where over, unders came from is people that didn't understand sports betting and said, total's too confusing for me. Let's call it over, under. But it's the total on a game. It's the total runs scored or points scored in any given game, and you're betting whether that's going to go over or under. So that's the over under. The word is total. You can same thing for props. Is LeBron Jordan going to go over or under 38.5 points, rebounds, and assists tonight? You can go over or under, but the right word is total. I encourage you, if you want to sound like you know what you're talking about. Over under is absolute. When someone says the over under, they're an amateur, and when someone says total, it's one of those. It's a red flag word. It really is. In terms of talking to someone, say, and it's not that bad.
No.
Like you say, I bet the over under. Someone's gonna laugh at you or something. But was the preferable word. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. In a sentence, the over-under for the third game of the Red Sox-Yankees game in London was set really high at 13.5 runs. Do you remember that game last season?
I do.
So it just got higher and higher. Anyway,
I think I got up to 15.5.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
I think like game 2 was like 11.5 and then went.
Yeah, well, the first day flew over. But the opening number was too low, so the bettors thought they were making positive EV bets to bet the over-under up from 11.5 to 13.5, and then up to I think 15.5 by the end of that series.
Yeah, super high. What a great game. Next word is parlay.
So a parlay is a bet that combines multiple games or multiple outcomes for a higher payout. The more games that you put in a parlay, in theory, the greater the payout, but obviously you have to win each and every bet in a parlay to cash your winning tickets. I talk a lot about underdogs on the money line in parlay fashion. I like doing that on college basketball Saturdays. I like doing that on college football Saturdays. I like doing that on days where there's a big board. I'll do that on MLB sometimes. You can bet small parlays on underdogs on the money line and get big returns. The majority of bettors tend to do it the other way around, when they're playing parlay, and especially in baseball. They're like, well, I like this favorite, I like that favorite, I like the other favorite. Let's parlay the -$3 favorite with the -250 favorite with the -$2 favorite. And you end up getting a better return ROI, return on investment, than you would have if you bet each of those games individually when you parlay them together. But of course, any one loss means, that one of the things that straight bettors love to do, the reason that we talk about straight betting, I like going 4-1. Okay. I like going 3-2. As a parlay bettor, those results are disastrous because you would have won, and instead you lost every bet that you made when you talk about the not cashing everything in the parlay. So parlay is just a bet that combines up multiple games with the opportunity for higher payouts. But you have to win every bet on your parlay or you won't cash.
Yeah, sad stuff. In a sentence, I love 3 teams on the board today, so I'm betting them all straight up and in a parlay. Next word we got is pick'em, Teddy. Pick'em.
Pick'em. And it's not what I'm about to do in my nose right now. No. But a pick'em is a game where the point spread is 0, where the two teams are based on the location. Remember, because the home field is always factored into a point spread. But a pick'em proposition is all you got to do is win in order to cover. It's the equivalent of a money line bet, even though it is a point spread bet. It just means that the point spread is pick'em. That means that you're actually betting it on the money line. You're just betting who's going to win. They don't have to win by any kind of a margin. So literally, a pick'em wager becomes a money line bet. You're just betting on the team to win. But of course, you're not laying any juice to do it. It's minus, it's minus 105 or even money. In theory, is pick'em. Plus 100 is pick'em wager.
Okay, and in a sentence.
So the Red Sox opened as favorites over the Blue Jays, but the money came on Toronto, and the game closed at pick'em.
Pick'em. Okay. Awesome. Next word up is point spread. We've been talking about this so much, and then it's like one of the last things we're talking about. Point spread. Define point spread, Teddy.
Well, just like it was like, okay, what's a line?
Yeah, exactly.
And a line is actually harder to define than a point spread. A point spread is the margin of is a theoretical margin of victory for the favorite that a bookmaker is going to put in trying to get action on both sides of a game. All right. If you have the Chiefs playing the Bengals and you have the game priced as a pick'em, everyone's going to bet Kansas City.
Yeah.
But when you put a point spread involved and say, all right, now Kansas City has to win by 12.5 over Cincinnati. Now books have a chance to balance their action. They'll get Kansas City money, but they'll also get enough Cincinnati money that the books won't be taking a disastrous position. And books don't mind taking a position on some games. They really don't. And the more aggressive books will consistently take positions. But the books also want to make sure that when they're taking positions, they're not taking positions that they can get wiped out on.
Right.
A point spread is simply it's a mathematical differential between the two teams that allows bettors to take both sides. Without asking the weaker team to win the game.
Beautifully said. I'll use it in a sentence. If the juice is too high on the favorite money line, I might just take the point spread instead. Next up, I have prop bet, number 20, prop bet. I love prop bets. I know they're sucker bets, but I like them.
Sure. So a prop bet, most of the bets we've talked about today have been side or total or first half, something that has relationship to the score, whether it's the score at the end of the game, whether it's the score at the end of the first half, whatever it is. A prop bet is anything that's not directly tied to the outcome of the game. It can be who's going to score the first touchdown. It can be LeBron, you see that for Super Bowl, who's going to win the coin flip. LeBron James over under 38.5 points, rebounds, and assists. All of those, they're all different kinds of prop bets. Many of them have to do with individual players. Will Tom Brady go over or under 247.5 passing yards? Tom Brady over 1.5 touchdowns, over minus 140. Those are very standard prop bets that you see on just about every TV game nowadays. But there are also, you can find some bizarre prop bets out there, especially Super Bowl time.
Yes.
The king for prop bettors. But I mean, a prop bet can be anything. It can literally be anything that's not directly related to the final score of the game. They're a lot of fun. The limits tend to be a lot lower on the props, and the prop specialists are always paying attention to the juice. It's not about the bet; it's about the vig or the juice that you're being asked to lay on these prop bets. So it's a bet that's not directly tied to the outcome of the game.
Perfect. And prop bet is short for proposition bet. Also, not only in a sentence, but I did want to mention that I did see a prop bet or something of like during the draft, who is Joe Burrow going to hug first, mom or girlfriend? So that's a prop bet, an interesting one.
Sure. The same thing with, when you talk about the draft. I mean, the draft is, I don't know if those are considered prop bets, I would think. All of them?
Yeah. Like how many quarterbacks are going to get drafted first round, 4.5. Yeah, those are prop bets.
Yeah, exactly. 5.5 Alabama players getting drafted in the first. That's a prop bet for the draft.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Next up, second to last one is puck line. Teddy, do you do a lot of hockey betting at all?
Rarely, but puck line is a very easy concept to understand. Yeah. It's the exact same thing as the run line in baseball. Mm-hmm. What you're doing is you're taking the bigger favorites and asking them to win by more than one. So a puck line, you're saying the big favorite minus 1.5. Mm-hmm. So they have to win by 2 goals. And instead of laying minus $3 with the favorite, then you'll lay a reduced juice because they have to win by 2 goals. So what it does, it increases the chances of the underdog, in theory, cashing the ticket. Mm-hmm. Because now the underdog's plus 1.5, so they can still win the bet even though they lose the game. They can get an empty netter. You can do whatever to lose by only 1. So it makes it closer to 50-50 for who's gonna cash the ticket, because you have to lay now this 1.5 with the favorite. That's the puck line. It's the same story with the run line in baseball. You're laying minus 1.5 with the favorite, asking the favorite to win by 2 runs, or in hockey, 2 goals. The price on Vancouver was too high, so on the money line, so I played them on the puck line instead.
Puck line. Got it. All right. Our last word of the day, push.
That's the last word of the day?
Yeah, that's last.
This is the most fun I'm going to have today, Minty. I don't want it to end, so I'm going to give a really
long answer for push. Okay. It's not pull, it's push. Okay.
And a push is real simple. Push is kiss your sister. Push is you get your money back. Okay. You have the Patriots minus 3 over the Jets, and the Patriots win by exactly 3 over the Jets, and the game is a push, and everyone gets their wagers refunded if you bet them on the point spread. Money line wagers only push if there's a tie. All right?
Oh yes.
Money lines wagers back. Point spread wagers push when it lands on that number. Now, it's really important to note, a lot of casual bettors, a lot of amateur bettors like the push. Oh, I hate pushes. Like kissing your sister is the old expression. What a push is like.
I've never heard that until you said that just now.
I hope you can get it out of your mind, because it's not a pretty.
Are you from the Midwest, or where is that term from?
A push. It's a Vegas term. It's absolutely a Vegas. I mean, I've
really.
Yeah, I grew up out back east. I grew up in New York, and then I lived in Michigan for 10 years before I moved out here. So, yeah, it's not a push. I'm glad they don't use this so much anymore. A push is never a bad thing. Okay, it really is. Not. It's frustrating to push when you were winning the whole game, and then you push at the end. But it beats the hell out of losing. Okay, you don't lose anything with a push. It's start over again. No harm, no foul. Savvy bettors are always looking for those extra half points so that they can get the push. So the push is live for them, even if it's not on a key number. The +4, the +2, the +6, whatever it is. Pushing when other bettors lose by a half point is it's a great experience. Okay, it's not a bad experience, because hey, my line shopping and my due diligence just saved me a losing bet. I pushed while other bettors lost. And that, to me, it allows you to maintain your bankroll, as opposed to letting that, every loss from a bankroll is -1.1 and every win's only +1. When you're pushing, not such a bad thing. I never complained about a push, even in a game where I led the whole way, because I didn't lose my bet. And
that's right.
Yeah.
Got your money back.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okie dokie. And in a sentence, I guess you kind of said it. I bet the Bucks -5. They won by exactly 5 points. My bet pushed.
There you go.
And that concludes our 21 terms of the day. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Betting 101. Tune in next week, guys. Same time, same place, Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do not forget to subscribe to WagerTalk TV on YouTube and click the little bell icon to get notified whenever we go live. Thank you, Teddy, for your time and knowledge. And thank you, everyone. Stay safe.
Cheers.